folks, Hal Shurtleff with Camp Constitution, and I'm in Lower Manhattan, right outside of the historic Fraunces Tavern on 54 Pearl Street, just a short distance from Wall Street. Anyway, this was opened up by Samuel Fraunces in 1762, and was used by patriots in New York. It was a meeting place for various patriot groups, and during the War for Independence, Revolutionary War, in early December, I think December 4th of 1783, George Washington toasted farewell to his officers here on the second floor, and we'll be going in here a little bit, although that particular room is not, we're not allowed to do any videotaping or photography, but there are plenty of rooms that we can. And it's still open as a restaurant. And this was a place was also used by the American government during New York City was the first national capital, nation's capital, for the during the under the Articles of Confederation, and also the first year or so under the Constitution. And people like Thomas Jefferson and John Adams and Benjamin Franklin and many others would be seen in this area and coming into the tavern. Again, it was actually used by the U.S. government. So we'll be going in and showing you folks around this beautiful place. Hey folks, we're here at the Fraunces Tavern, Lower Manhattan, right near Wall Street. And this is the place where George Washington said farewell to his officers. The actual room is behind me, but they don't allow pictures or video. This is the Clinton room, where George Clinton, militia general and governor, the first governor of New York, hosted George Washington. And I'm going to be over behind us here. This is a what we would say probably the most one of the most realistic portraits or bust of George Washington. And I'll be taking a walk around and showing you some of the other rooms that we're allowed to show. And this is actually owned by the New York Sons of the American Revolution, not the same group of the Sons of the American Revolution which I belong to. Hey folks, this is one of the rooms in the Fraunces Tavern, and beautiful painting of the Battle of Monmouth and Molly Pitcher. And over here is a painting of the Constitutional Convention of 1787. And George Washington played a key role. Here we have this chest belonged to Baron von Steuben, who was a big help to us during the War for Independence. And over here is some writings of Benjamin Talmadge, who actually was in charge of the American Secret Service. Talmadge knew Nathan Hale. And here we have a letter written by George Washington to Elbridge Gerry. Elbridge Gerry, who was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence and later became a vice president. And here is the last known letter, or the last letter that Nathan Hale wrote. He was from Connecticut, and he was a school teacher. He was down here with the Connecticut militia defending New York, and he offered his services as a spy, was captured September of 1776, and hanged the next day without trial. And this room here houses the works of John Dunsmore, and I'll read the sign here, illustrating the American Revolutionary War. John Ward Dunsmore, 1856 to 1945, painted his favorite subject, the American Revolutionary War, in the early 20th century. As a formally trained fine artist, he produced a large body of work and received long-standing commissions. Through his diligent research and attention to detail, he created vivid paintings used to illustrate magazines, school books, calendars, and everyday objects, embedding them in the nation's historical imagery. Dunsmore's work is a ubiquitous part of the 20th century popular culture, shaping the way Americans perceive their history. And there's 47 pieces here, and I'm just going to do a little scan here of these beautiful paintings. And I'm sure that you've probably, if the folks watching this are into history, they've probably seen some of these, probably in poster format. And here again is the women played a significant role in the war for independence. And don't let some of these historical interpreters tell you any different. Here's the Betsy Ross flag. That was, of course, Philadelphia, which is a museum. Bringing the cannons, Henry Knox bringing the cannons from Ticonderoga to Boston. And here's some of the calendars that these beautiful illustrations were used.